Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers Podcast, a podcast where we discuss our thoughts on gaming news. I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer.
Hey, what up?
And JurassicJeremy.
How's it going, guys?
All right, so this week we thought we'd do a little something different. Since we've all introduced ourselves, everybody knows who we are by this point. We thought just to start things off, we'd talk real quick, briefly about what new and interesting games we found this week. And we'll go ahead and start with Jeremy. What have you been playing this week?
All of my gaming time has been taken up by Rocket League. It kind of came out of left field, no pun intended, and it's just the most addicting game I've played this year.
So, why don't you tell us a bit about it? What's the deal with Rocket League?
It's soccer with cars. It's over the top. It's very simple. It's competitive, but it's not it's not too deep. It's the perfect pick up and play game, which fits my gaming schedule. I can put an hour into it, or I can put 5 minutes into it, and I still feel like I got my time's worth.
So it's soccer with cars.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of good things actually about this game. I haven't tried it yet. I got it. It was free with PS Plus this week or this month. I think it still is. But I haven't gotten it. Like, I downloaded it and I haven't touched it.
It is PC and PS4 crossplay, so even though there's not matchmaking yet, there's a chance that we could play against each other.
Yeah, and I actually have been watching some gameplay of it, and I actually thought it was a rather fun looking game. It just looked cheesy enough to be entertaining. Like, it definitely doesn't take itself seriously, and I kind of like that.
Oh yeah, it looks fun. I got to get around to it. I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah, you just have to get around the games I'm currently on. Well, but what have you been playing, Kev?
I went back and revisited the original Mass Effect. Like, a friend of mine asked me, I've been doing I walkthrough channel essentially, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, Kev, when are you going to do a walkthrough on the original Mass Effect?" I found some sweet effects, and I was like, I want to see what this looks like. And before I knew it, I was doing a full-on walkthrough of it. So I've been playing that all week. Played a little bit of Fallout New Vegas. I just want to see how it scaled at 4K, and Resident Evil 4. I started that a little bit. And I just started playing Game of Thrones, The Telltale today, so I've been busy.
I know it's naive of me, but I did not know that there were mods for Mass Effect. I didn't think it was one of those games that people wanted to mod.
There are mods for everything.
Most of them are for Mass Effect. There's not too many mods for them. Most of the mods are for Mass Effect 3. Mm-hmm. There's a couple for Mass Effect 2. They mostly just involve, like, Miranda's hair color. Mm-hmm. Basically, the only thing for Mass Effect 1 is there's a cheat engine, which I didn't bother with, and there are sweet effects. And sweet effects is like... actually, sweet effects do a lot for that game. It makes the colors pop so the textures look a lot better, because it was the Xbox 360 launch title.
Yeah,
so,
and it really did look a little bit washed out. That was one of the problems. The graphics weren't bad. It just felt like the color palette was a bit muted. And I think that Sweet Effects definitely did that justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does. It helps that out a lot. So if you guys, if you're watching this from Morty's channel, check the description. You'll see a link to my channel if you guys want to see the difference the mod makes.
Yeah.
Because I have the Let's Play going right now.
Yep. And of course, shameless plugging.
Yes. Shameless plug for the win!
Yeah. But we'll have a link in the description there for so you can go check out his Let's Plays and see him make all the wrong choices. And I don't mean Paragon or Renegade. I mean whatever choice that Kev makes in the game is the wrong choice. You have to make sure to comment on the video and let him know that he's done everything wrong.
But I hung up on the council.
Doesn't matter. It was the wrong choice.
I punched the reporter. That's never the wrong choice.
Nope, wrong choice. It's wrong choice only because you made it that way.
Exactly.
But
it doesn't matter. You could have killed the Reapers, and it was still the wrong choice because
yeah,
it was my choice.
Yep.
Reapers
exactly.
are supposed to destroy everything.
Yeah. There's a whole debate on that one we won't get into about destroy the Reapers, control them, synthesis.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm still. It's still on my list.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He
See,
hasn't played
yeah,
it.
yeah. Actually, I was talking crap to Jeremy on Facebook the other day. I think I'm going to beat Fallout New Vegas. I've never played New Vegas. I'm going to beat New Vegas and all 3 Mass Effect games, put them on Let's Plays, and get them on get them on YouTube before Jeremy gets around to beating Mass Effect 1.
I do really want to note, Jeremy, you should really be doing a Let's Play of that so people can see someone's fresh, unfiltered reaction to the game for the very first time.
You think?
Yeah.
Instead of it being like my 11th playthrough.
Yeah, exactly, because we've played through this game so many times. Like, honestly, the one thing about Mass Effect that's so crazy is because your choices affect the next game in the series, and your choices from the first game will affect the third game, and so on. Whenever I first started playing Mass Effect 3, got about 2/3 of the way through it, and then had to go back to the first game and start up a new game plus and like start all over because I realized I royally screwed something up in Mass Effect 1. So I had to play Mass Effect 1 again, then play Mass Effect 2 again, then play 3.
Wow. See, my first playthrough of Mass Effect 3, I just ran with it. If I messed up, I messed up.
Yeah, I'm like that completionist. I actually got about 3/4 of the way through it, and then got distracted by multiplayer for a few months,
year,
and then finally went around and said, you know what, I'm gonna beat the game now.
I know I've got the choice now, and I'll probably end up doing it on PC since I've got Mass Effect 2. But I just picked up a 360 the other day from my neighbor's garage sale, and I'm looking to get games on that.
Mm-hmm.
No. Mass Effect plays so much better on PC, dude. Like, I'm not even saying this like PC Master Race, no dumb stuff like that.
Well, everything's
just
better on PC.
To be honest,
I think some games are better off on console, but Mass Effect isn't one of them.
there is one thing though, is that Mass Effect 3, there is the whole thing about the 30 frames per second on Xbox 360 makes it the gameplay just a couple of hairs slower, so it's easier for you to dodge bullets and things like that.
I didn't notice. I played it on both.
There was of course BSN being BSN. Of course anything you do on that you talk about on BSN, you're wrong, no matter what.
Yeah.
But there was Mass Effect 3 forums on there. They really talked about Xbox 360 people soloing the hardest difficulty by themselves, platinum solos and whatnot, but they played on the 360, so it doesn't really count because the 30 frames per second means that it was half the difficulty. And I'm like, no, pretty certain that's not the case, but whatever. And I'm sure there's certain YouTubers that were on 360 who also had it on PC, like Invader 1 was really notable back in the day, who recently, I guess, is getting back into YouTube now, finally.
Like Andromeda after 2 years.
Yeah, well, he's going to rehash a bunch of stuff he was saying. But in any case, though, he's played on both, and he was like, yeah, there's a slight difference. Platinum still feels like Platinum, though.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'll put it to you this way: like, I'm actually better at Mass Effect on console. Like, I got the best of the best achievement on console. I don't have that on PC.
Here. Yeah, well, that's just time spent. Like I have that same title. For completing all challenges. And honestly, that's why I didn't get on PC. I was like, I really felt like I got everything I wanted out of that game. But let's not dwell on that too much. Let's get moving on. I'll briefly talk about what I've been playing, and then we'll get to the actual rest of the podcast. So this week, after I posted my very brief foray into Elder Scrolls Online, I had the free weekend that they gave me, and after giving it very heavy criticism in the beta, and even more criticism with that little brief Let's Play, people are telling me that, I was playing the game wrong. Yeah. No, not
It's
really.
a game.
It was no,
Well,
not so much
that's
that.
the internet.
It was just it was more along the lines of that when I played the beta and played the free weekend, I played a Wood Elf Archer in the Aldmeri Dominion, so I got the exact same experience both times. Apparently, archers are horrible in that game. It really not catered towards archers at all. So this time around, when I got it back, I was like, oh hey, you know what? I'm gonna try a Dragon Knight on there, sword and shield class. I was like, okay, I can get behind this combat a little bit. I mean, it's by far not as smooth as, like, say, Vindictus's live action combat, Terror's live action combat, or Skyforge's live action combat. Those are obviously much smoother because they're designed around it. Whereas Elder Scrolls Online is designed on the Hero engine, which is what was used with Star Wars: The Old Republic. You can tell there's definitely nods to it all over the place. But I still wouldn't have spent $60 on it. I sure as heck don't feel like the $15 a month subscription would have been worth it. But Green Man Gaming had it on sale for $12 during their big sale there, and that one was a fair price for it.
Is it $12?
Yeah, $12 for it. And so I've been playing that. I also got City Skyline, but I haven't had a chance to really in-depth play it because, well, Elder Scrolls Online it's an MMO, so it does require some time. And then aside from that, of me trying to get matches in on Dragon Age Inquisition and get game footage from that, and then and then throw in some Warframe because, well, I don't know why that game is just addicting, and every time I log into it, there's always something new going on. But yeah, so that's all I've been playing this week, and I think we've definitely talked long enough about that. So let's go ahead.
Games.
Yes. So let's go ahead and now I'm going to briefly just follow up on a story that we did talk about on the last week's stream, which the link will be in the description again if you want to go back and check that out. We talked about a story where we were discussing eSports drug abuse, where players were abusing Adderall in an eSports tournament, and it was rampant. Like apparently, like everybody is using it, type of thing. So essentially, the follow-up on it this week was that apparently the several league authorities have come out and said that they're going to now have a much stricter drug policies, mandatory drug testing and that sort of thing. They obviously can't go back and retroactively any tournaments where Adderall was accusationally being abused. They can't go back and drug test now because any tournament would have been months ago. So that really doesn't count. But other ones, they supposedly will be doing that from here on out, which I think that's fair. I can't argue that's what we were talking about doing, and that's what they're doing. So. But let's go ahead and get on to the real stories. And this first one makes me want to pull my hair out and smash my face on my desk. So Star Wars Battlefront is now the big competition between Sony and Microsoft on who gets what timed exclusive. So Xbox One actually gets the game first. Xbox One players will be able to play the game first. I don't know how long a duration they'll have it for.
5 days.
5 days before PlayStation players. Whereas PS4 gets all of the DLC before Xbox One. So it's literally like they both were throwing money hand over fist at EA to say, hey, we want timed exclusives. And then essentially they had to split it up.
Kind of. What's going on with the Xbox is they have this program called EA Access. It came out last summer, and essentially what it is, it's not actually a bad program. You pay $30 a year or $5 a month, and you get early access to games. It's like I said, the 5 days. You get a 10% discount on games, and they add games to what they call the Vault. So a lot of like the older EA games on Xbox One, say like the Madden that came out when the Xbox launched, NBA Live 14, I think NBA Live 15 is about to go in there. Titanfall, Battlefield 4, all free. The UFC game that came out, all that stuff in there is free. They just keep adding games. So that's kind of cool. For $30, and as one of the perks, you can demo the game 5 days early. So that's how Xbox is getting it early. But and you have to pay that subscription fee for it. So, but these early deals, or these exclusivity deals on multi-platform games, annoy the hell out of me.
They literally benefit no one. Literally, they don't
the
even
fanboys. It benefits the fanboys.
It doesn't even benefit them. Because
the only
it does, because they use it for their console war.
Go ahead,
the only people it seems to benefit are people who like to say that they were first to do something. Because 5 days is nothing. If you can finish a game and feel like you have put your time into it in 5 days, these games aren't really holding their value. I mean, if 5 days is really that much to you, I don't know.
Yeah.
We live in an era where people don't talk about games after 2 weeks anyway. So you have to keep that in mind too.
Yep. Except if you're Witcher 3, in which case they have a genius marketing strategy. But here's my thing, is that when I say it doesn't benefit anybody, is that okay, so you have, so essentially Sony has dumped money into the developer, or, the console manufacturer dumps money into the developer to get a timed exclusive, because they're paying straight up money to get it early. So they lose money. The developer then gets heat from the player base for taking money for a timed exclusives. The player base of the not exclusive group, whoever didn't get the timed exclusive, is angry about it and oftentimes doesn't play and, maybe not buy the game. And then you have the exclusive player base who didn't even really, most of which don't even care about it being exclusive. In fact, it most of the time annoys them. Like, for example, Dragon Age Inquisition with the timed exclusive Jaws of Hakon DLC that they released on, I believe it was Xbox, got the timed exclusive on that one. And there was, most of the people that were angry were Xbox One owners. They were angry because it's like, hey, you're essentially alienating the rest of the player base, and hey, we want this to be an active, healthy game where tons of people are still playing it. They were rather upset about this timed exclusive crap. Obviously, PlayStation players were also angry about it because they don't get the DLC for that was like 3 months or something like that, or a couple months was the exclusive.
Yeah, it was.
So it was pretty intense.
I mean, it's gotten stupid too. And I talk about fanboys a lot because I think the fanboys are the only people who are excited about this crap. You even see it this week. It happened with Tomb Raider. People are like, oh, the Tomb Raider release date's now released. We're going to get it, 3 months later on PC, a year later on PS4. And now that's a debate. It's like, my feeling person is stop making multi-plats exclusive. Stop holding back content and using it as ammo for a flame war.
Yeah, exactly, because that's all it does, and it doesn't really benefit sales. People who own said console, because here's the thing. All right, so say I'd love Star Wars Battlefront. I'm going to buy me a next-gen console just for Star Wars Battlefront, if that was the case. There might be someone out there that is like that. In that case, here's my problem. They are not going to choose a console based upon getting 5 days early access to the game. Well, there might be someone that does, but most of the people are going to choose it for some other advertising shtick that they go for. It's not going to be for a couple of days. It doesn't benefit that. That's the only way I could see them thinking marketing is somehow good for early access. It's really not. If you want people to buy your damn consoles, you need to get good exclusive games, good service. You need to make the console attractive, not, more or less screw over your competition. That's what politicians do. Sorry, gaming is not politics, even though there is politics in gaming, I guess, everywhere. But we're not throwing dirt at Sony. We're not throwing dirt at Microsoft. That's not what gaming should be about. It should be about, hey, Microsoft has this awesome title that looks great, fantastic. It plays great on the Xbox One. Sony has this great game that looks awesome on the PS4 and plays awesome. That's what it should be about. Okay, so they got multi-plat games. Okay, that's cool. That supplements the exclusives. At least to me. I don't know. What do you think?
And what's interesting about this too is that for a lot of these games, like they say, oh yeah, exclusive content to PS4. Like they did this with Watch Dogs, and all the content was on the PC version.
Yeah, the PC
it was on there at launch.
The PC is it's Xbox versus PlayStation. PC gets it normal time anyway. Like
I understand that. They need to sell on every console that they develop for to make their money back. But if you're gonna make it timed, make it a good chunk of time. If you really feel like the people putting their money up have their game on this specific console, it really should be 6-7 months, a year. Make it timed. Don't make it, Tomb Raider's coming out a month after or whatever.
Well, that's what they're doing on PS4. Like it's coming out a year later on PS4. It's coming out 3 months later on PC. I don't know. I don't like the idea of exclusivity with multiplats in general. Like I was one of those people who were very vocal about not liking that Tomb Raider was a timed Xbox exclusive. To me, it's like Tomb Raider's always been a multiplat. A lot of people associate it with PlayStation, but it's always been a multiplat. Nope. Even the originals.
The original was on Sega. First on PC.
It was on Saturn. Yeah, it was first on PC, PS1, and Sega Saturn.
Yep.
Well, I never realized that. It thrived on PlayStation and
that's when
and PC. It was also a big deal on PC as well. I had the original Tomb Raider for PC back in the day, and it was huge, and everybody was talking about it like, "Oh, this game's so much fun." I had Tomb Raider 2 on PC as well. For not being huge into gaming that far back, I still did have a few of those games like that. I thought they were gems, but in any case, yeah, it was PC and PlayStation. Sega Saturn really didn't get anything of it, but that was because Sega Saturn in general didn't get a whole lot of anything, like publicity wise. It was very underpublicized thing. Everybody was talking about the PlayStation.
Right. The original PlayStation was a great system.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was something new. It was moving away from that cartridge system. It did it well. Had a ton of titles coming out for it. A lot of third-party support. Everybody loved it. It was the thing that the gaming industry needed at that time.
I'm actually playing Ape Escape right now.
we have a rule about playing games on the stream. So, okay.
Hey, I'm paying attention.
Kev, go ahead and hack into his computer and delete his hard drive for me.
That's okay. I'll just download more RAM.
Yes, download more RAM.com.
That'll fix it.
All right, so to get you out of that whole playing games on the stream funk, we'll get into a topic that I think you will be much more verbose about. So there's also a story came out this week about Fallout 4, and kind of essentially more details about the perk system, the perks, the stats, how followers and romance will work. And it seemed like there was a lot of stuff there that seemed like it was taking a bit of hints and nods from Skyrim, which that's not really surprising because it's Bethesda. There are, of course, things they see that were good from another game they made. It's their right to put it into another game they make. And the second thing is it's made with the Creation Engine, which was Skyrim's unique engine. So, it's very easy for that to port over. But now, essentially what I wanted to discuss on this one, and you guys can feel free to go off topic on this one and talk about what you want, but how do you think, how good is it for Fallout 4 to take cues from Skyrim or, essentially take cues from their other IPs when they're making this Fallout 4 game? And we'll start with you, Jeremy.
The way I see it is it's not just that they're taking cues from their other games. It's the fact that they're listening to the community and watching what they're doing with these creation kits. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are focused on making money, and that's understandable because this is a business at the end of the day. But Bethesda really seems like they're watching what people are doing and within reason kind of, it looks like they're adding things like that to Fallout, for example. There was a base building mod for New Vegas and Fallout 3 too, I believe. And that's obviously being implemented in Fallout 4, and just some of these things that it really does seem like they're paying attention. Like one of the new things that they're adding here to Fallout 4 is the romance aspect of companions and just gameplay in general. And I actually read something earlier from a specific developer that worked on Fallout 3, and this was in 2006 or 2008, I don't remember, but he was saying that the reason they didn't do romance and things like that real big in games is because he believes it shouldn't be done unless it could be done right. And most of these games, if they end, you can have sex with them and that's pretty much it. There's no relationship there. And a lot of people like to role play in these games because they are very immersive. And that's not always the end game for someone who's looking for that kind of playthrough. And it really seems like they have listened to the community, and this may be one of the first examples of them really taking that to heart and translating it into a finished product. Every company can say, "Oh, we're listening to you and we know what you want," and then turn around and still sell DLC for $50,
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, is that when it comes to Bethesda, I haven't really seen an example yet of Bethesda really doing a romance option that I've actually felt enjoyable. And unfortunately, when it comes to romance, there's other games that have it from silly to actually rather in depth. Honestly, Mass Effect and The Witcher. It's just like, well, actually, The Witcher more than anything. Like, he just bones everything that has two legs and a hole.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
No shame whatsoever. And then Mass Effect, obviously, you just randomly be in a conversation and they'd be like, "Hey, you want to go downstairs?" Wink, wink. Wait, what? But Dragon Age Inquisition, obviously, like you were saying, they wanted it to be more about, the actual relationship factor than just, hey, want to go downstairs and bone type of thing. They actually wanted to have a, more meaningful relationship that took a long time to progress and build up, which I kind of feel like that's a better way to do it. It makes it feel like there's history there. People who role play in that can get behind it and feel actual motivation to it, I guess. But, the other thing on there, though, is that, like, in general, like, a lot of people, I heard so much hate when they first announced it, and they were saying that they were making changes to the way statistics and skills work in that game. And
in
people...
Fallout?
Yeah, in Fallout 4. And they were more or less saying that it's going to be similar to Skyrim. If you guys remember Skyrim versus... well, not necessarily like Skyrim, but the change degree from Skyrim, from Oblivion, and from Morrowind before it, where those had a actual, essentially you would level up and put points into attributes, and then essentially that was the way that you leveled up things like speed and your health and all that. Skyrim obviously just nuked attributes entirely. There were no attributes. You had, your abilities, or you had your skill trees that were full of perks, and every level up you got a perk point. And they're kind of doing something similar to that, although instead of having skills, you have the attributes, and the attributes have perks. So it's kind of, it seems to me like it's a little bit otherwise, but whatever. That is going to be a big change for Fallout, make it feel a lot different, which some people were kind of hating on that, and I'm like, no, you kind of understand. When you make a new game, I'm sorry, I don't want the same game. I don't. That's why I don't like particularly care for Call of Duty. It's because even though they make some little changes, if you played one Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 2, you've pretty much played them all. No.
Advanced Warfare is different.
No, it adds jetpacks. It's like it adds jetpacks. There you go.
It's more like Crysis. It's a lot like Crysis, a lot more than any of the other ones I played.
Yeah.
See, I was
that Jeremy?
I was actually gonna say that same thing. When you want a sequel, a lot of people they say, "Oh, we want a game like Fallout 3." But then if it came out and it was basically just a reskin of Fallout 3,
you'd be mad.
Yeah, you'd be mad. And what it really seems like they're doing is they are overhauling the game in a way that seems that longevity is the factor.
Well, and that's the thing is that Bethesda's well known for that. They like I was surprised when they said they were using the creation engine. Although that might be an Elder Scrolls thing, I haven't checked, but pretty much every Elder Scrolls title that I've played, they have developed a new engine for each one of those titles. Like completely new, ground up, built it. They're not a repeat of the last one. And I don't know if Fallout has just more or less taken the tandem Elder Scrolls titles engine and then kind of used that skin to Fallout style or not, or if they've been known to do their own engines every time. But Bethesda's not one to shy away from doing something completely different. They don't like to repeat themselves. That's definitely very true.
Mods.
Just compare Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim. They are very significantly different games. Like just the way they play is so significantly different.
Now, I'm going to ask, because the only Elder Scrolls game I've played is Skyrim, and I didn't like it very much. Is there any reason for me to even go back and play the older ones?
It depends. So here's the thing, is that they're all going to be the open world. Same with Fallout, people make jokes that, Fallout is essentially Elder Scrolls with guns. And yes and no, it kind of is in some ways because it's Bethesda and obviously has a lot of Bethesda flavor to it. They kind of have their own signature by now. They've been around for like 3 decades now. So, or 2.5, we'll say decades. But, they, by now they have their own kind of unique flavor of doing things. But here's the thing, is that this is the way that I really explain it to people when they compare those three. Morrowind, it's the love child. You could tell there was so much love and dedication put into that game. So many little itty-bitty details. Like, the amount of of books in that game that have, like, little short stories that you can tell were written by BioWare developers. They just wrote, like, they had everybody in the staff, write a, quick short story so they could put it into a book in the game. It's amazing. Just all the little details in that game. Downside is, obviously, it's shown its age at this point. The game engine does feel a little aged, and it definitely feels weird stabbing someone in the face and hitting nothing but air. The story in that one I kind of felt was one of the better ones, though. And then Oblivion kind of still had some of that detail and love put into it, but it kind of started getting the world more immersive. One of the downsides of Morrowind was all the NPCs just stood around 24 hours a day, never moved.
Sure.
Because,
so 2 in the morning, they should be standing there.
Yeah, it's an older game, that was kind of the standard back then, and it still is for a lot of MMOs, that have day passage, like Elder Scrolls Online, for example. Empty NPCs are standing there. Yeah, they walk back and forth, and that's it. They just, it's like Morrowind there. But, Oblivion, they had detailed schedules. Like, they would eat, they would sleep, shops would close at night. You might have one of the chicks, I believe, went and was living with her husband, but once a week she would make a trip, to the other side of the map to visit her family. And if you were there, you would catch her, on horseback, riding the roads. Like, it was realistic, like, as much as it can be for a fantasy video game, I guess. But, and then Skyrim shrunk the map significantly further. My problem with Skyrim, the reason why, where I felt the disconnect was coming from those games. Those worlds kind of felt, they interacted on a couple levels. Because essentially what would happen is, events in Morrowind happened, and when you played Oblivion, it was directly after Morrowind, so you would hear people talking about rumors about that previous game. So kind of let you feel like that was the continuous world going on there. But the problem is that in Skyrim, it's 200 years after Oblivion. So that's a long time. Things are very disconnected. A lot of stuff has changed. the problem is that the world just fell apart in that time. So what you get presented in Skyrim is a very decayed, rundown, broken version of that world. And it kind of, to me, was, and I can tell this is what they were going for, so I can't complain that they didn't do a good job of relaying the kind of depression that world has, because everything is so bad there. Especially if you played the Dragonborn DLC, and anybody who's played Morrowind is very familiar with the island in that game that's called Solstheim, that was added with the Blood Moon DLC to Morrowind. And you look out in the distance, and on the horizon, you see Vardenfell, where the game of Morrowind took place. And it's a smoking pile of ash. Like,
Whoa.
It's gone. It just got wiped off the face of the earth because that island was a volcano. And during that 200 years between the games there was what was known as the Red Year, where Red Mountain, that's the volcano, erupted and just wiped out Vardenfell. So Morrowind, all gone. Well, not all of Morrowind, but that island is all gone. And it was just kind of like, when you see that, you're just kind of like, well, that sucks. It just kind of really makes you feel like, well, there goes all my happy memories in Morrowind. That's kind of, they did a good job. I can't fault them for making a good, serious, mature theme there, but it did kind of disconnect me from all of the good times I'd had in those previous games. It kind of made them feel like they were separated. So, in the regard, yes, they show their age in certain areas. If you were going to play a different Elder Scrolls game, I would probably recommend trying out Oblivion, just because it does have a little bit better graphics, but it still has, it feels like the Empire's still in control. Like, there's other stuff that's going on, but it's not as depressing as Skyrim is, by any means.
See, my problem with Skyrim is it just didn't have that much life to it. And swinging back to Fallout, because we were supposed to be on Fallout.
Getting distracted there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Skyrim is super popular. Fallout, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what they do to the mods.
Yeah.
Because we know what everybody did, like you said, with the mods in Skyrim. We know what they did with the mods in Fallout 3 in New Vegas. And it looks like they're taking a lot of the influence from those mods and adding it to Fallout 4.
Like the base builder.
The base builder is a good one. The day and night weather cycles is another one. Mm-hmm. Even like the textures, like Fallout 4, when I saw it, it looked like New Vegas overhauled.
I thought Fallout had day and night cycles. Maybe it didn't. I can't remember right now.
Not 3. 3 had day and night cycles, but it didn't have the weather.
Oh, gotcha.
None of the games have weather. There are mods to add weather, but this is the first game. This is the first 3D Fallout game that has any kind of dynamic weather in it without
exactly.
And that's something that was one of the things I thought was even cool when back in 2001 when I first was playing Morrowind. I was mystified by the dynamic weather. I thought it felt so awesome in there, and I'm surprised they didn't add that into Fallout. I guess it makes sense though. Nuclear fallout, nuclear winter, it usually heavily disrupts weather patterns, so it is kind of believable in that scenario. Mm-hmm. By the way, if anybody didn't realize, yes, Fallout is about nuclear fallout. Just in case you were wondering. Spoiler alert. But yeah, no, I feel like that's a good thing. I feel good about where the game's going. Yeah, it's probably gonna have bugs.
There's also something that Kev and I talked about. Just last thing I'll talk about Fallout. The game is finished.
Oh, yeah.
They're just doing testing and stuff now. So.
Oh my gosh! Wait, you mean that they're not like every other developer and try to launch things before they're finished with it?
I told you, Kev. Not everybody does that.
Well,
no. I'm saying I'd be surprised if that they weren't. What I was saying is more devs need to do that. Like, this is when they should be done and testing and getting ready for launch. But most devs, the most you're probably going to get is like 3 weeks to a month.
Yep.
For most devs.
The other only public game that I can think of that did this was The Witcher.
Yep. Well, yeah, CD Projekt Red though is not. They seem to have their head on straight.
GTA 5 on PC did it too, I believe.
Yeah. Well, there was some hiccups here and there, but yeah. In any case, though, let's go ahead and get moving on there. We definitely got on this topic for a while, but let's go ahead and talk about another one that's actually kind of got me excited for the possibilities. That so the Xbox One is getting keyboard and mouse support, which is essentially I'm assuming that's going to be coming with the Windows 10 update to my Xbox One coming this fall. So the possibilities there.
And this is for gaming.
Well, Phil Spencer initially said about, because you have the game streaming from Xbox One to PC. The big elephant in the room is, well, why can't I stream my PC to Xbox One? Because it makes more sense to stream the powerful box to the weak box.
Yeah, and so you can play it on the
as
big
opposed
TV.
to doing it the other way around.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's the one disconnect PC gaming has always had is the living room. It just doesn't fit right.
Yeah.
So that's what most people say. This makes a lot of sense for PC. So Phil Spencer, when what he said is, we're working on it, but before we can really do it, the Xbox One has to support mouse and keyboard. And I think that's where all this conversation came up from it with. I personally think it would be great, and I would think for Xbox players, you can experience a lot of PC-only games.
Yeah, like MMOs and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of the MMOs, some of the MOBAs, a lot of stuff that only has keyboard and mouse support can now get ported without the developer having to worry about, how do I make this work on a controller? Like, I played Smite on the Xbox One, and they made it work. But the controls don't feel as fluid as they do on PC. Well, on the mouse and keyboard.
And I should also note, just to make sure I'm getting a fair thing on there, Sony did say that they're also going to try to do the thing, but we don't have any.
It's already there. Mm-hmm. It's already there. It's been there.
Oh, it's yeah. Sorry, no, it's there, but that's right. That's what it was. It's there, but it's there for browsing. It doesn't support it for gaming.
That's right. I believe the PS3 supports it too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because they did it because you could do it with Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's also Bluetooth keyboard compatible and all that. The one thing I should note here, what we're talking about with the Xbox One, is full keyboard and mouse support. Yes, for gaming as well. Now, my question is would this be the thing to bridge the divide between the reason why there's not enough cross-platform play games? Like the shooters out there, obviously anybody who played that one Shadowrun game that I did, and I was on console for it, I think it was original Xbox. Oh my god, that Shadowrun game was so brutal because it was cross-platform. You had PC players, and then you had console players, and there was no way that a console player can keep up with the aiming speed of a mouse. It's just not going to happen. But now, maybe we have the possibility of being able to do that, which would then not have any great divide in skill level. It's just, are you better with the mouse than the other person? And like you said, MOBAs. 2 biggest games in the world played right now, League of Legends and Dota. Both of them are exclusive to PC. Well, now if we have keyboard and mouse support, maybe we might see a League of Legends on PC. I'm just saying, Riot, it would be brilliant, and you would make tons of money. Riot, you should really do it.
See, this is
my League of Legends on. You assuming League of Legends on Xbox One, right? You said on PC.
Oh, sorry, I meant on Xbox One. Yeah, on Xbox.
Okay, I just want to make sure I followed you.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is, and it's probably going to be something real dumb and petty like usual, but just because the keyboard and mouse support will be there, they're going to say, well, why should I have to switch to accommodate you? You should switch to accommodate me. We're on my console now.
Well, PC can already do that, though.
Oh, I understand that, but
the console guys are already saying it.
It's really going to take
a
lot for a native console player to go out and get or use a mouse and keyboard and relearn their games all over again.
But let's be honest,
can just use
keyboards look so much like the gaming peripherals for PC are so much prettier than what consoles have.
Right, and what I've already seen it. I obviously associate with a lot of console guys. They're already complaining about it. They're they don't understand it. A lot of them just think just stay on PC, go do your thing on PC. They think that bringing it over there is to make the guys who suck on PC feel better when they play on console because they're going to destroy people with a controller. But my thoughts are like, why are so many people refusing to learn keyboard and mouse?
Well, see, I do have a legitimate complaint there. I personally don't like keyboard. Mouse, I love mouse. But keyboard, my big complaint is the age-old WASD. I think that is the most inefficient movement possible. I actually have a Logitech G13. I map WASD to the little joystick on it, so only my thumb is doing the movement, and I have 4 whole fingers to do the little hotkeys to whatever I want. I don't have to waste 3 fingers on movement and then take a finger off of a movement key in order to do something else. That's my only complaint with keyboard and mouse. I've used it that way, and I can play it that way. I just don't like to. I think it's inefficient. And that's
right. I think that's actually the one beef that I have with keyboard is, like you said, the WASD. At the same time, I'm used to it. Like, I'm used to it. I can jump back and forth. If you ask me to play a shooter, I'm better with a keyboard and mouse on like a first-person shooter. But I can play games with both.
Yeah, there's some of them for controller, but that's just a few of them.
I think what the misconception is the fact that they're not used to having choices.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
That's a huge one. Like, I noticed that when I talk to console guys, a lot of them say, "Why are they adding this? Or why are they adding that? Why don't they just keep it the way it used to be? Keep it like this way." It's like, you don't like options. You don't like flexibility. You don't like choices.
Yeah, they're not used to
that's why a lot of them are complaining.
That's one of the things I tell people is that the modern generation of consoles are actually more computer than ever before. And to the point where, Xbox straight up admitted that it's a Windows kernel running that thing. So they can treat it as much like Windows as they want. They could literally make it a straight up PC. And then also on the other side of the divide, you have more and more PCs that are getting marketed as gaming consoles, like the Alienware Alpha and Steambox concepts, things like that are trying to bring PCs into the living room gaming experience. So it's becoming a closer divide. People got to realize that at one point in time, eventually, your PlayStation 7 and your Xbox XXL is going to be able to be played side by side with PC players and each other, because hopefully the hardware will be enough to support it. You'll be able to choose whatever peripheral you want and be able to plug it in, play. And yes, if you're playing with a controller versus someone with a mouse, you're probably going to be at a disadvantage, but hey, you have that choice.
Right, and I think one of the big ones too there is like we were talking about, people are just going to reject choice. People reject change. People rejected the Xbox always online, which I get, you don't want to do the 24-hour check-ins. I thought how often they had to make you do it was ridiculous. But I was in favor of the discless Xbox One.
Yeah.
If they could bring the prices of games down.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened.
Like, give us a huge heart. Yeah, I didn't think it would. I mean, like, even like with digital game sales, like with the recent Xbox games, they had the summer sale for the Xbox. I was disappointed because I'm like, hopefully this rivals something like the Steam sale. They were basically digital games for used game prices.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe because, the console guys aren't exposed to this stuff. The guys who only play console, they thought were like, oh, this is so amazing. But I'm like, no, the used version of the game has more value because you can do more with it. You can trade it in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, these are the prices that the digital games should launch at, not what you should get for a year later.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of them, I think they reject the idea because, this is what they're used to. It's their mindset. And until they're exposed to, what's really out there, I think a lot of them are going to sadly miss out or sadly remain ignorant to a lot of things. And I think that's just one of those misconceptions that happen between, PC and console and whatever. I don't want to get too far into sounding like I hate consoles. I love consoles.
Yeah. I think I just want I want everybody to be equal. That's my thing. I hate the console war BS. I want, because honestly, I play mostly on PC, and PC is hands down superior in every way to a console, except for accessibility. And I would like PCs to be more accessible. I'd like consoles to have better graphics, and have more peripheral options, things like that. But
right, you nailed it in the head. That's the big difference between the two: accessibility versus power and performance.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, the only thing that that I wish that people would understand is that choice isn't a bad thing and change isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
And PC players are used to that. And if console players would be a little bit more open to things like that, they would understand and really realize the amazing technology we have because we can control it.
Yep.
I actually got into a discussion with a console player the other day who got mad at me because I said basically what you just said, Jeremy. And but then at the same time, and I got on him about this. I was like, this is the exact reason why you praised Android phones. For example, like I made the comparison of, an iPhone, excuse me, an iPhone or even an Apple computer, which is very, very restricted, to a console. As opposed to, an Android phone, which is open. You can do whatever the hell you want to with an Android phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, that's kind of the best way, I think, to compare the two to somebody who's never experienced
I
it.
do want to point it out there that, unfortunately, we're now going to have two grades of fanboys that are hating on us. Both the consoles and the and all the Apple fanboys are all going to be like, oh, Android sucks and PC sucks. You suck.
The
Welcome
PC guys will hate us too because, we're talking about consoles. Like, I get it both directions. I get hate from PC guys because I like consoles. I get hate from console guys because I own a PC. Yeah. I'm used to it.
But let's
iPhones are only good for lazy people and people who don't care about anything.
Yeah. But let's continue on with more console discussion. So at least we'll briefly talk about this here. So PS4 released their Dishonored is releasing their Dishonored Remaster and they're actually giving a heavy, I believe, $20 discount. The game sells for, I believe, $40, but if you previously own a digital copy of Dishonored for PS3, you get it for $20 instead. I feel like this should almost be like every remaster that you could potentially track the purchase of. Like they should give a discount if you already own the game, because I mean you're buying the game a second time. I don't know. What do you guys think on that?
I agree. Go ahead.
Sadly, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of remasters, and this is a huge case for games like Grand Theft Auto. If you can prove that you've already bought it twice, you shouldn't have to pay another $60 for it. Like $5-10 off, I think is fair.
Yeah.
But it really, like you said, it has to be trackable. There's no way to. It would be abused ridiculously.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the digital distribution is a good way to track it, like Xbox Live or PSN. They can obviously very easily see you already have the game purchased for that console, so it's easy to track. With PC, obviously, you need like Steam, Origin, some Green Man Gaming, something like that, where you could track it. And I'm not against remasters, sort of. I'd caveat that I think the game should be a certain age before they remaster it. Like Final Fantasy VII Remaster, okay, that's a 20-year-old game, fair enough. That deserves a remaster. But if it was a game that was made last year for Xbox 360 and PS3 and they want to remaster it, go screw yourself. You guys are just trying to make extra money. That's BS.
I don't know. I look at it from the mindset of, for example, I had a PS3 for 4 months and it yellow lighted on me, and I got it after the PS4 came out. So like I picked up God of War Remastered recently and it was broken to all shit. Like Kratos was actually missing audio, but that's a whole other story. Like his lips moved and nothing happened, and nobody reported this. I don't know why, but anyway.
Is that nobody plays that game to hear Kratos talk. I'm just throwing it out there.
Right. I was more mad that it was it was broken. Work properly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what annoyed me. But I wanted to experience God of War for the first time.
Yeah.
And that was the best way to do it. Or say Uncharted. I'm buying the Uncharted collection on PS4 when it comes out. Because I had bought all three of them, but I only got the chance to play the first one before my PlayStation dudded on me. Stuff like that. The Last of Us, if you didn't have a PlayStation 3 and you got a PlayStation 4, please go play The Last of Us. That is a great game.
It is. It's very well recommended by everybody. But I think it's fair to do a remaster to get it on the new consoles. Obviously, Xbox is trying to rectify the people that don't remaster their games with obviously having backwards compatibility, which to me adds value. It's a value game. Like if you're gonna remaster a game where you really do nothing extra, like what Final Fantasy VII is trying to do. Obviously, it's a really old game, so the graphics are a given, but it's also trying to roll in all of the, from what I understand, roll in all of the subsequent side stories that are in that same universe, because Final Fantasy rewrites their world every time they have a new game. So, Final Fantasy VII did have some spin-offs like Dirge Cerberus and what was it, Crisis Core, that were spin-offs from that specific universe. And I think they're actually going to roll those stories into Final Fantasy VII, which I think that's a good value. That adds value. If you're going to charge $60 for that, I still think it's fair, because it's been gone for long enough where it's a generational gap. A lot of players that are in gaming now weren't even alive whenever Final Fantasy VII was a thing. And on top of that, you also have, they're rolling in more content into it. They're making it worthwhile for even me playing Final Fantasy VII to go out and buy that. I may or may not, but it'll still be a value for me to do so. But,
going back to Final Fantasy VII, they're actually overhauling it. That's one of the cool things about that.
They're completely redoing the whole, keeping the same, as far as I understand, basic story, adding in new extended bits to the story, and then completely overhauling everything else.
Right, overhauling the graphics and everything. And that's actually one of the cool things I like about the Microsoft remasters too. Like, I hate looking at them the same way, because when Microsoft remasters a game, they completely remake it. And that's my understanding what they're doing with Final Fantasy VII. They're completely remaking it. It's not the same as like, the Sony remasters where they're just upscaling it to 1080p, unlocking the frame rate.
Yeah.
Or even worse, Prototype. Prototype isn't even a remaster; it's a straight port, and it performs
that game wasn't even that fantastic to begin with.
and it runs worse. How do you make a 7-year-old game run worse on new hardware?
Yeah,
they figured out how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
The last thing I really have to say about it is, and it kind of ties into the whole backwards compatibility thing, is that if you're going to remaster a game, make it worthwhile. Don't just make it look pretty. Do an engine overhaul. Make it, like you said, make it worth your while. Add content. Don't make it a DLC fest or anything.
Yeah.
And the second thing is don't remaster a game that is going to be supported with backwards compatibility on Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see a Fallout 3 remaster in 4 years when I can get an Xbox One, and if I already have Fallout 3 for 360, I can just play it on my Xbox One.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
saturating the market with games that don't need it.
I honestly,
disagree.
Well, the thing is that I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of remastering from Bethesda's end. And to be frankly honest, I honestly think that Microsoft is probably asking developers if they plan on remastering before they go and try to make it backwards compatible. I'll be straightforward and honest. But even if they do, even if they go and you have Fallout 3 remastered or Fallout 3 backwards compatible, I think that's still an option. I mean, hey, I don't want to pay for it, and I just want the old game. Okay, fine. Then I don't have to pay for it. I already did once. Good. But maybe I want to see that remastered version. I want to pay. I don't mind paying for it. That sort of thing. Then hey, I can experience remastered. There's nothing wrong with options there, I think.
Right. I think it's the flexibility thing that I like about it. Like, I would love to see Fallout 3 completely overhauled.
Yeah.
I think that, you've seen it on PC, but see it on a console, I think would be amazing.
That's true.
A new engine is what that game needs.
Yeah, it needs to be done in the Creation Engine. It would be so much better. But let's go ahead and...
I think I wanted to make one more point, too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to remaster a game, look at Halo 2 remastered. Not that, there's a whole debacle with the Master Chief Collection. But specifically Halo 2, that is the way these people should be looking at remaking these games. Mm-hmm. It should be the prototype. For everything wrong with the Master Chief Collection, Halo 2 Remastered is amazing.
Yep. And let's go ahead and quickly grab onto our last story here before we run out of time there. So the last thing we're going to talk about is another kind of questionable action here. So there was recently an eating disorder group that edited a bunch of photos from a prominent female gaming icons such as Cortana from Halo or the bikini girl that's on the GTA 5 cover, and essentially they filled them out a bit. They gave them a little bit more weight there, which their argument behind it was that seeing like bikini girl all over the place, literally you can't sneeze and not see her somewhere. She's a gaming icon. That it kind of gives women unrealistic body type expectations. And, of course, the silliness here is that, I don't even need to see Bikini Girl anywhere. I can go to the store and see a damn Cosmo mag that will do that for me. But secondly, at what point, and what I want to briefly talk about here is, at what point do these various awareness groups that may not be about eating disorders, could be about anything, at what point do their agendas of trying to force developers to make things look the way they want them to, in this case, maybe add a little bit more fullness to the females in their games, at what point does that start to encroach upon the creative expression on the developers, and how long are they going to keep targeting gaming for random whatever their flavor of the month rage is?
Are we going to bring up how this is sexist, by the way? Because as a fat ass in America, I don't have arms like Marcus Phoenix. I don't look like Ryu. Okay?
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not? I thought all men were big muscular guys, and we all had very large, full beards.
Apparently, I don't know. I'm not that way. But it's like, why do they always target like just women? Now, do I think games should be more inclusive? Yes. I think they should have women with more diverse body types and men with more diverse body types, genders, nationalities, not stereotyping people. All that stuff should be added to games.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how people that aren't involved with games or who aren't interested in games or who aren't, but just, they're not gamers, they're not game makers, they're nothing like that. They're just outsiders looking from the outside in, have the most criticism of games.
And most of it, I notice, is that they're using it as a springboard for their, since gaming's popular now, they're using it as a springboard for their agenda.
Right, like 20 years ago it was rap music. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are we really talking about this? Women? Really? Like, I understand that. And to answer your question, Kev, I really think it's because women are more sensitive to this particular subject. I'm not saying at all that men can't be, because I'm a little big, whatever. But the thing is nowadays it's all about self-image, and video games are a medium, an interactive medium that people use to either play out their fantasies or kind of immerse themselves in something that gets them away from real life. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. Maybe they want to pretend they're smaller, or they feel like they should have the option to play as themselves because they're confident with it. It's one of those things where if developers are pressured into or nudged towards making people look, quote unquote, more realistic, then the creative minds and outlets of the developers kind of are stifled because they're catering to what's politically correct or not offensive this week.
Yeah, and the one thing I noticed, and I really kind of bugs me, is, like, for example, just to head this off there, for the games that, for the most part, like, that allow you to create your own character, usually you can sometimes adjust the body type a bit to, get something more full or thin or whatever your preference is. Skyforge is a good current example of an MMO where, good God, the amount of customization just to the body type, I can be this big, huge, ripped dude, or I can be a little bit chubby, like Angry Joe when he did his playthrough video of it. You know, he gave the guy a beer gut. You know, skinny guy with a beer gut, because he said that was him. So he wanted that. It looked hilarious in the game, but hey, that's what he wanted to do, and he had that option. Most of what they're targeting is kind of these iconic characters in games, like I said, Cortana. First of all, Cortana is a fucking AI. She's not even real. Well, sort of.
They eventually says Siri needs to be skinny, basically.
Yeah, it's like she projects herself however the fuck she wants, because it's simply a projection. It's a holographic image. She can't literally get fat or thin. She's just there. But aside from that, it's the issue I have is that it seems like all these various groups, you know, like I said, they kind of try to use gaming as the flavor of the month springboard for their issues. So it's like, and it more or less what it does is, even though they may not be intending this, yeah, it does pressure developers to be more politically correct, because developers are scared to really express their creativity. You know, like people were complaining about how Witcher 3 is racist. Dude, it was made by Polish people. Go ask a Polish person how many black people are in Poland. Seriously.
Exactly. I mean, you want something that's more racist than that? When was and I'm saying this as a black man in America, when was the last time you played a video game with a black protagonist, or even had black-like side characters that were not a stereotype?
Right. Well, you know, I mean, except in create your own ones, you can always do that.
Well,
but, yeah.
I'm talking about beyond that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, the closest thing I can think of is Lee Everett. But let's remember, we started The Walking Dead with him on his way to prison.
Yeah, right. And then and then you have like you know, Sergeant Jackson from Halo, totally the stereotypical angry black guy sergeant from the military. You know, you've seen him in 100 different movies. You know, or like GTA 5. Come on, that's just a ball of stereotypes.
There's even GTA San Andreas.
Like, well, no, the joke of GTA 5 was, and game theorists did a test to see if the police were actually racist. That was great. And I think
it's funny when people say, "Oh, the police aren't racist." I'm like, have you had the police harass you? Because I have.
The problem is, and I guess this is about the last thing I have to say with it, because it's just what life is now. Is right. Everybody is offended by everything. You can't fly a certain flag. You can't be a certain color. You can't talk a certain way. You can't be American without offending somebody. So
that's right. It's like when we were joking offline. What was it? I don't remember if it was you. I was talking with you guys, or I was talking with somebody else. They said it's damn near racist just to be a white man in America. I'm like, how is it racist to just be born? Yeah,
but that's the feeling is, you know, if you're white, you're a racist. And I just love, like, whenever people are like, oh, you know, Confederate flag stuff that came up, you know, like, that's always racist. No, well, I mean, there are definitely racist things involved in that. My issue is attempting to abolish it from sight on everything. What that's called is whitewashing history. That's more or less, we'll pretend it never existed. Sorry, that's the worst mistake. You know, you should more or less turn the Confederate flag into a celebration of, hey, you know, everybody's free and equal, rather than you know, it's racist, or it was what really it was representing was the South wanting to secede. Yes, slavery was a factor in that, but it was not entirely just slavery. It was just in general taxes and just the way that the North was handling things. They didn't like it. Well, okay, but and yes, there is racist involved in that. I can't deny it, but you shouldn't whitewash it. You shouldn't make it, like, you know, illegal to in any way portray the Confederate flag. And that's the same thing here, is that if someone wants to creatively do something, you know, under the guise of art, and it's clearly an art form, like making a video game, it's art. Yes, there's computer science in there, but it's art. You should not be criticizing their creative choices. You should be criticizing the technical choices. You know, now if it has okay, let me rephrase that. You should not be I don't know how to phrase that right. You should not criticize, minuscule creative choices. You should be, criticizing the major ones, like, say, story. If it's got a really bad story, yeah, criticize the shit out of that.
The gameplay sucks.
Yeah, or the gameplay sucks. The technical stuff, the gameplay sucks. It doesn't run well, frame clipping. Yeah, definitely criticize that. Criticize the major design choices in the creative process, but don't say, oh, it's racist because there's no black people, or it's sexist because the women are portrayed in a submissive fashion to men, or it's fat shaming because there's no fat people. Go home, get a life, seriously. And that's really all I have to say about it. It's find
the people who are playing these games, even if they're fat, that's not what they're thinking about. They're like, oh, this is a great game. I'm having so much fun. Look at this world. Look at these graphics. Listen to the story. This is epic.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh, but the main character's too skinny.
Yeah. Or the main character's white, or the main character, or good God, I so much hate in Mass Effect 3. I just talked to this guy a couple times, and all of a sudden he's hitting on me. So what? Guess what? That happens in real life too. I hate to break it to you. Sometimes a homosexual is gonna hit on you, and guess what? You have to deal with it. You have to politely say thank you, but no thanks. I don't swing that way. Okay, it's fine. It's called coexisting. There are people with different beliefs than you that exist, and you are supposed to maturely interact with them, not be a bigot. And to be honest with you, this eating disorder group, to me, is just as much as a bigot as anybody else. I think it's funny that everybody talks about fat shaming nowadays and no one talks about skinny shaming. Happens all the time. I actually, my sister-in-law just, was having an issue with that, and it's unacceptable. That should not be a thing. And that's something that I think is a major problem that gaming and society in general needs to look at, is let the creative people be creative. Let them do their thing. Stop jumping down their throat so they're scared to create anything. Because otherwise, we get no games. Period. They're scared scared of everything they're gonna do. But I think we've beaten that topic into the ground well enough. And on that particular note, we'll go ahead and do our quick little channel plugs here, and then we'll go ahead and call it a day. So let's go ahead and start with you, Jeremy. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us what you're doing on your channel.
You can find me either on YouTube, JurassicJeremy. You can find me occasionally when I'm not busy writing for WeGame here. I've actually got a Rocket League review coming up soon. And you can find me on Steam and Origin under JurassicJeremy as well. If you ever want to play something, just hit me up.
All right, Kev, go ahead.
You guys know me, Kev, here from the official WeGameHere.com. You can check me out on YouTube by searching Kev the Gamer. Check me out. I do walkthroughs, Let's Plays these days. Right now I'm doing a walkthrough of the original Mass Effect, and I'm going to start soon with Game of Thrones. If the original Mass Effect does well, I might even jump into Mass Effect 2 and 3. Just depends on what the audience wants, what the crowd wants. I'm just trying to grow my channel.
He's also racist against Turians, just so you know.
Just Garrus.
Just Garrus.
And Caden.
And Cade. No, that's are you homophobic? Is that it? Or no, he's not homophobic.
Caden's gay.
No, he's bi. I think he's bi. That's what it was.
I don't know. He's never left Vermeer.
Yeah. Oh, you just totally spoiled the game. You ruined it for Jeremy.
I quit.
Oh,
All right.
Jeremy wasn't going to anyway.
All right, and obviously everybody here knows me. I'm Angelus de Mortiel. You can find me just by Googling Mortiel, Mortiel, and that'll bring up just me because no one yet has tried to steal my name.
I'm gonna.
You can find me with various video content. Obviously, this podcast, as well as how-to guides on games like Dragon Age, Warframe. I'm also going to be doing some other games here in the near future, so you guys are welcome to come and check that out. And And also, I am regularly, rambling to people on things like Twitter, which is under the same name as well. And on that note, we will go ahead and sign off here for this week. So once again, this has been the Pixel Crashers podcast, and we will catch you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, except for Kev, who will be here early.